Welcome to Loleventvods. Watch the full game of today's LTA 2025 matchup.
And Whippo, basically, they got to take away any opportunities from Shopify because they constantly targeted the solo laners. They would put pressure on Annie or pressure on Rumble before the Annie or Rumble could put pressure out themselves, taking away their flash, repeat ganking. Just seems like if you give the reins over to Inspired, he will control the whole game from start to finish.
Let's get with those reins. All right, let's get into draft here for the second game. We've got the Nico, the Cassiopeia, and the Gwen all banned out by Shopify. Target banning towards quad, again with that Cassio like we talked about in game number 1. Over on the other side, this is also a consistent target ban that everybody does against Shopify. It's Yone. Now, obviously, it feels less flavored for the team because Yone is a very meta champion in general, but it's also the champion that Palafox has his most pop-off games on. It remains banned. Doesn't matter what side of the Rift FlyQuest is on. They do not want the Weeaboo Samurai in there terrorizing the mid lane.
And it is interesting also that Cassio did join that ban list in game 2. It made it through the picks and bans in game number 1, but Quad obviously getting targeted by that a lot. We have not seen York or anything like that from Whippo getting banned out just yet, but that has been drawing a lot of attention. And as we get further and further into the series, I do think that's going to become more and more of a possibility. So I'm excited to see where Whippo takes us.
All right, well, we're going to the Azir first and foremost here for Shopify. Remember that in game number 1, this was banned out from their side when they were playing on the red side, so no option for anybody to take that. But when Azir is there, so is then Taliyah. These two are practically a pair. Whenever one is drafted and the other's up, you just see it locked in immediately.
And I really like the Taliyah side of it. Of course, Pantheon and Vi are both banned, one because Fearless and one because the actual bans, and those point-and-click setups are like incredibly OP with the champ. But she's still very, very good with any other fighting AD jungle anyway. And Taliyah does, scale very nicely and give you those options for controlling the map.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you can obviously get a lot of that setup from support. Obviously, it's not about that jungle 2v2 pairing, but Leona and Nautilus and all these types of champions can work really, really well alongside it.
Meanwhile, this is kind of like a self-counter, really, because a lot of people actually like playing Conqueror Xin Zhao into Skarner, but Contracts is clearly picking for the team to have really big frontline and have really big, CC for Shopify. They have 100% opted to, okay, this time we are going to go straightforward team fight. We are going straightforward team fight, front to back, so there you go.
And Ezreal as well, right? It's like we are scaling, we are playing for 5v5. One thing I will say is I feel like Shopify is at their best when Contracts is being aggressive and is being able to actually create action, because I feel like he is the guy that does it, right? Like he is the guy that starts fights. He is the guy that invades. He is the guy that makes things happen. It's really hard to do that on Skarner that's a slow pick already and in a losing jungle matchup. So we'll see, can they actually just kind of stay even and make things happen later on? Senna would be pretty exciting. We are going to get Senna. So I think it's going to be Senna AD carry for Masu. Since the patch changes, a lot more souls do drop actually from the minions that you're killing. And we have been starting to see Senna show up, more and more. There are some clear weaknesses. You have like no wave clear, but your poke and your prod is so powerful, and you're able to actually assist your teammates cross map for all-ins and 1v1s. They're on red side, so people could go 5th pick, counter pick, and get some sort of advantageous matchup that Senna could really help out with there. And it's just so strong in these extended fights in 5v5s where you're getting multiple Qs out, healing your team, and really making things difficult.
And you're going to be infinite scaling with souls now. So he's going.
I heard you like scaling.
He's going to have some options there. I think this is also another game where FlyQuest will have more options as far as like long range ultis and global control with a Taliyah, as well as like you're mentioning with the Senna ultimate. So a lot of these side plays, and FlyQuest do a very good job of like controlling the map through the minion wave first, and then using champions that do have long range ultimates to prey on you for team fights.
We talked about some of the other potential setup champions here, like Leona, like Nautilus. Nautilus is going to get banned out, and interestingly enough, they're actually going to ban the Olaf, which feels pretty targeted towards Bwipo there up in the top lane. I'm trying to think what matchup Fudge would really be looking for to actually ban that away. Is pretty surprising. Leona feels like the obvious pick here. Leona or Rel, you need to have some sort of engage. You need to have some of that CC to actually pair with the Taliyah. And it feels like they're going to go here with the Rel.
I would think that the Olaf ban is because it works really well whenever you have some sort of buff from the backline. Senna AD carry kind of does that also. And if you have Olaf popping ult, just basically gets to run through Skarners. And if you are planning...
It's not fun.
Yeah, exactly. Not fun for the Skarner, because Skarner really can't do anything to that champ. And if you're planning on doing a standard front-to-back 5-on-5, then you're probably going to have some more tanks as well.
And it's something that Bwipo plays a fair bit. You know, if you're watching him in solo queue, he'll play it on stream. He does like it in some of these different melee matchups. But it's just interesting, you know, is it just compositional, or was there something that they're planning on actually locking here for Fudge that would be answered very easily by this? So that's what I'm curious to actually find out right here.
Yeah, the thing about the Shopify draft, there's really no questions.
Yorick blind is crazy.
Blind Yorick. Now, I know, Azael, that you have specifically said before that Yorick is a champion that you pick for certain matchups.
So, okay, I mean, I don't think Bwipo is an Aurelia player, but Aurelia is legitimately unplayable. Like, you summon your ghouls, and they all just get instantly one-shot and stack her passive. Another matchup that I think he would play is something like the Scion. Scion is quite good. Mordekaiser, you can actually ult them, and the Maiden does go into the ult, but the ghouls do not. So that's one of the interactions that people like. The Cage also does not follow you into it. So if he throws out in the Cage and he gets the ghouls on you, you ult him. The Maiden will follow, but the rest will not. But there are some specific matchups like this. I don't think this is one of the like sharp counters or anything like that.
Okay.
But it is a good matchup. Bwipo definitely not known for being an Aurelia player, so I think he wasn't as worried about that. And maybe Bwipo, you know, wasn't as comfortable going to some of the other matchups. But things like Scion can be really powerful simply because you're getting full HP stacking from the Soul Furnace off of the ghouls. So I am very surprised to see a Yorick blind. I do wonder, is Fudge partially playing towards Fearless by doing this and saying, you know what, I'm going to pick it here so that you cannot pick it later. And next game, I can look towards something like a Jace without having to spend a ban on a Yorick. It's going to be interesting to see, you know, how that develops. But that being said, you are down a game. So even though you got Yorick off the table, if you lose this one, you have to reverse sweep.
I enjoy the metagaming aspect of Fearless and how teams can play around it for strategies like what you're discussing. But you are right. You only get 3 shots. So we'll see how it pays off here for the side of Shopify, locking in that blind Yorick.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting to actually see how it goes.
All right, non-subscribers, we'll see you in 30 seconds. For everybody else, it's time for Shopify to try and fight back here. Will the Yorick be able to find success in the face of this Mordekaiser? Will we be able to see some more options for Shopify to take fights if they want, now that they have some more solid engage with contracts on the Skarner?
All right, Shopify, show us a different look here in game number 2. Let's heat this best of 3 up. They did take that game previously in the best of 3. This split versus FlyQuest. See if they can do another one.
All right, reminder, we have swapped sides on this one. FlyQuest now playing from the red side after Shopify lost on there that last time around. FlyQuest with an early little bit of a low-risk invade here, just stepping inside the enemy jungle, placing the ward down at the red to just keep an eye on contracts, see what he's doing here early. They'll also ward his blue, so they're going to know, no matter what, exactly where that Scorpion is and where he's going.
People really highly prioritize tracking contracts versus Shopify, rightly so. So very, very deep vision. Both buffs covered, Flowers. You know where the Scorpion's going to be, not only just for the start, but for the full clear first time around. And when you have full vision of the first clear, you're going to presume the second clear as well. Skarner is a champion that consistently got the damage reduced. And so you really are about team fights and about making picks for your team.
And you see Bwipo gave Inspired a pretty heavy leash here to try to accelerate him, try to get him ahead. Even got, you know, the multiple autos in for the passive. This is going to mean he's going to lose the shove, but you're probably going to lose the shove against Yorick early on anyway. This matchup is very heavily just about, you know, as the Yorick trying to whittle down that Mordekaiser, constantly poking and prodding. But Mordekaiser has a pretty easy gameplay pattern to kind of answer the ghouls, where you basically are charging up your W passive, you sit back, he hits you with the ghouls, you pop your W, you kill off the ghouls, and you kind of just do it like that. Mordekaiser can definitely win the 100-0 all-ins once he has his ultimate, so Yorick kind of has to chunk down the Mord to basically make it so you can't go for that type of fight. And see, here it is, he levels the W, and you're just going to do that over and over and over. And so it becomes a bit of a fight of just kind of how many of those E's can you hit. You got to hit them nonstop if you really want to pressure him.
Just a little bit of a dance back and forth. He steps forward, you step back. FlyQuest in the mid lane, Quad having that early shove against Palafox to make sure that they have that priority. And I like the fact that you mentioned Inspired getting the heavy leash from Whippo. I think a lot of the times these days, the standard is just no leash whatsoever. But I like the fact that you're also doing it against Contracts, who you know loves to do this jungle invade at level 3 type stuff. Get Inspired started early so he's in a better spot to deal with that.
And especially in this matchup, because Xin Zhao just gets to run Skarner off the map. So it's going to give huge priority there. And it's kind of a synergy like we saw in the first game. Whippo was setting up Inspired a whole bunch. He was playing Ornn for Inspired's Pantheon, blowing the flash, setting up for easy ganks for him. Consistently, these two players have really had a symbiotic relationship playing for each other.
We had some new ones added to the list after that last game, but look at 48 different champions here played by this team in Fearless. They really have been so flexible, and that's why I've been so excited to see them best of 5.
Ooh, nice little gank here from Contracts. Finds the slam into the wall on Bwipo. Now the follow-up with a cage. Bwipo forced to flash away or face certain death. Nicely played there from Shopify to knock Bwipo low on HP. He's going to need to teleport back.
They're trying
and
to dive.
FlyQuest is making their move on the other side of the map at the same time. Seos the first target as Busio starts it off.
Clean.
First blood over to Quad, and that is a clean dive from Fly.
I love the position, how they move up and zone them first. Then Busio easily able to get his CC while tanking the tower and just walking out of danger there. It seems so calm and collected from FlyQuest every time they make these early game decisions, kind of executing with precision. Nicely done from them. The cross map there, and Quad being able to roam down from mid lane on the Taliyah, the extra person does make a lot of a difference.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, that was just perfectly executed on the dive, right? There was no danger for them whatsoever. You can see, again, Busio positions on the left of the tower to be able to get the Shattering Strike, and then W away from the tower. So he picks up the range. He walks out to max range here. They hit the W from the center. They hit the Seismic Shove. Everything connects guaranteed. Busio tanks up maximum tower shots there. That is just perfectly executed by FlyQuest, and a really nice counterplay to the good gank on top side.
All right, Masu and Busio shoved back here in the bottom lane for the time being. I do want to see, specifically for Shopify, if they can make good on that gank on Bwipo, maybe do a repeat visit, find an opportunity to really cash in on that.
Yeah, and that would be great, but even just the buys were pretty beneficial because Fudge got to farm up a lot more. Even though he's not up in CS, he had a lot more CS when he went back to base, so he got a full Sheen buy, whereas Bwipo only got the Amp Tome. And Fudge has really been leveling up throughout this split. Early on in the week, he was struggling. Early on in the split, excuse me, he was struggling. These last couple weeks, though, he has been fantastic, including a great series against against Bwipo himself. So it'll be nice to see how he does on this. This is his first ever York game in pro play. And he's busting it out against the York guy himself.
Yep. I mean, having no flash on Mordekaiser, wait a second, is going to provide him the opportunity for some easy cages. And so maybe they will get a reset up there and continue on in the pressure. The only problem is, if you go and gank a Mordekaiser post level 6, guess what? It's not really a 2v1. He is definitely going to be able to have the ultimate, and so does make those opportunities to try and punish flashes fairly small windows, and you really have to bring a lot to actually punish it. Again, something with the overlay, the flash is about 50% cooldown on Bwipo. It's not actually back up now. Again, these things are showing back a little bit too early.
All right, FlyQuest starting up the first Drake here, but are going to be forced off. His contract shows up. Nice slam into the wall there on Quad. Palafox is ready to follow, and the Taliyah is in danger, but Quad gets away! Shopify don't finish the job. Now Inspired and Busio are coming in to help, and Masu's right over the wall. Tries to throw in a little bit of extra help to root up the Skarner, but it ain't going to matter because Seos is ready to lead the charge. Busio crashes down to escape. FlyQuest get everybody away. Shopify are barely missing out on these kills, and it's tragic to see it.
And why did Palafox hold on to the ult? Just use it on Quad and kill him for free right off the bat. And instead, he holds the ult for so long here that the CC expires. Quad gets away. Maybe he was just worried about him and being able to reactively flash, but I feel like he could just go in and spend the ulti right off the bat, like right there, and probably just kill him.
Yeah, Contract set it up so nicely with the Skarner, and it's not easy to do versus a Taliyah. He gets right over there, drives in time, and look at these margins of health. that they just barely don't get kills out. Busio as well gets chunked down. It would have been like one more Mystic shot after this one to be able to take him down, but FlyQuest, they get every person out alive.
And Azael, I know you talk about this a lot, but League of Legends is a game where small things turn into much larger things over time. Maybe the extra little bit of damage that you needed right there is the difference between now the next time you almost get a kill, it could be a kill, and it turns into something that really snowballs out of control, and it all leads back to why didn't we get that last little bit of damage?
I mean, it's so tough when you lose a fight like that, where it is, one hit of damage, then you go to the next fight, and now you're down an Amp Tone, where you're down a Longsword, and they live with that much again. Now all of a sudden you're down 1,000 gold, and now you can't have those close fights anymore, and that is definitely one of the difficulties of League of Legends. So you got to really be able to execute when it counts. Shopify here on the Grubs. Looks like it won't be contested. It is just pings over towards that Dragon. So FlyQuest looking like they want to eventually trade the Dragon, but for now, Inspired's just chilling and farming his jungle, not too concerned.
Yep, Grubs over to Shopify is a nice little bit of a bonus for them here. Contracts already has that first one. Should be able to grab this second before anybody from FlyQuest would even be able to show up. Remember, last time around, we did end up getting a pretty big fight around the Grub pit, but it looks like in this one, FlyQuest will just let it go.
And especially when you are playing Yorick, who really wants to live in a side lane. Getting Grubs is actually so nice to help you accelerate the game, to be able to put pressure on that tower. But Fudge, for him, the difficulty has really been his mana is actually sending him back to base more often than not. And Bwipo is just really able to withstand that pressure that he's putting on.
We have to point out that both Masu and Quad do not have flashes here, and the Skarner is ready to punish.
Okay, FlyQuest have the Dragon started, but it's only at half HP. Seo's trying to disengage now as Contracts finds a nice two-man ulti. True Shot Barrage over the top, ain't gonna do enough. Contracts very low, Quad even lower. Both of them fall as Seos has to retreat. Palafox fighting off Busio, but he's forced out to the right of the fight as Inspired and B-Boy now also running into the jungle as Inspired chases him away. It's Seos and Contracts dropping on the side of Shopify in trade for only Quad on FlyQuest. 3-1, the kill score for the game, as now top lane back and forth goes the Bwipo and Fudge battle. The Maiden might just fall, and if Yorick loses the Maiden, it's actually pretty crucial setback to not have that power. Barely keeps it alive.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really long cooldown. Fudge actually probably needs the base to just keep it alive.
We should go left side. We should go left side. Azure no shift.
Yeah, I'm trying to fight. Look, Skarner. Skarner. Skarner fight Skarner to death.
Skarner no flash.
Neither of us
We're going Leona.
Keep fighting.
Leon is dead.
Yeah, I'm fine. Can I go back to Drake?
Yeah, Azir, yeah.
The comms are just so clean. As soon as they see the Azir coming, they're like, let's go left side, let's go left side.
That's ulti.
Yeah, you've immediately got Bwipo going in for Fudge here. He's still got him stuck in the death realm for now, but he doesn't have the damage in time. Contracts showing up, and Bwipo doesn't get the kill. Fudge plays it to the limit, survives long enough for backup to arrive.
That last Q didn't hit. I don't know if it would have been enough, but it would have been damn close onto Fudge. Contracts gets there first, though, and that was a lot spent by Bwipo. Uses the ulti, uses the flash, and now they can maybe try to pull off a dive here in this 3v1.
Inspired's not going to allow it to happen. He is going Krug farming.
They are calling for the cross map. You can see the rotation from mid here from Masu as well as Busio to try and get some money off this tower. And maybe, even though the ward was seen, the minions get some vision there. So Palafox knows I'm going to hug down here on the other side. Could be some extra pressure there from a leak from mid. And so no dive, just going to be turret play on the other.
Yeah, we can watch this one more time. So he hits the E, and he just pops the ulti in onto him, and is able to just kind of chase after him here. Goes for the Q flash, gets him pretty low. You can see the ghouls don't follow you into that ulti. They're just hitting the minions. This last Q, would it have been enough? I think it would have. I think it actually would have. He was down to about 100 HP. He would have had him there. That was really, really close, but good sidestep from Fudge and great response from Contracts to come and peel.
Yeah, good stuff there. I mean, Fudge talked about how he got a lot of extra confidence in these last couple of weeks. And that is a critical play that you need to have happen to keep the hope here alive for Shopify. Because the way that game number 1 went and the way that this game is starting to slip away from them, they need some area to be able to rely on for pressure later on. So we'll see if Fudge can be that lane of pressure.
I mean, Yorick from ahead is a completely different champion as Yorick from behind. If you lose that fight, you lose your ult, you have no pressure on the map for a couple minutes, and you're down in gold to where you can't actually win the 1v1. If he gets an early Triforce, they can pressure.
All right, now the dive onto Bwipo here yet again. The Yorick cage finds him. The Mordekaiser doesn't have his ulti yet, but he doesn't need it. The shield is enough to keep Bwipo alive.
For now, the teleport comes in, round 2.
All right, True Shot Barrage even sets it up for Palafox to knock it down. Shopify have tied up the game, and they're about to knock down the first turret. They're doing a ton of damage to the thing with Yorick and the Maiden together as Busio and Masu will try to pressure B-Boy away from the tier 1 mid, but it's first turret over to Shopify Rebellion.
This is huge. Fudge can just TP bot and actually be able to cover that tower as well because Palafox TP top, so he's going to be down here looking to cover. He has the early Triforce. He has a Null Magic Mantle as well. Going to be feeling so good, and I just love that they're committing to this sort of game plan. If you're going to draft for Yorick, you need to play to Yorick. It is not a team fighter. You have to win your 1v1 and be able to play through sides, and Shopify are just sending everything at Bwipo to put him down.
It definitely is a good look. Shopify being proactive this game. They know they cannot sit back and let FlyQuest determine all of the early plays, so they do force some of their own.
All right, Fudge chasing after Quad here. Catches him in the cage at the very end. Quad does not have a lot of mana to fight with. Fudge continues looking for a little bit more damage. Can the Maiden do it? Yes! And Quad even flashes at his death. Huge moves from Fudge.
Fudge has become the hero of Shopify Rebellion. How the tables have turned, and that was after the flash. They got the kill plus the flash off of Quad. Contrast has been so proactive on this Skarner, and now they have an area they can play to. Fudge cashing in on those turret plates.
I mean, that's massive from Fudge. He's getting paid off of all these plates, and Quad was looking like he didn't know how Yorick worked there, because when you get hit by the E, flashing does nothing. The ghouls are going to come. The ghouls are going to jump. And so he flashes. The ghouls just jump after him and finish off the kill anyway. And when you have the Maiden out, you know, every minion that's dying is another ghoul. Every Q on an enemy champion is another ghoul here. So with this late flash, he was never getting away. Barely gets caged in here. Gets tagged by the Q, and after this last E, one more Q, last E, you can't flash at this point. You have to flash the E or you're dead. The Q hits, you flash, the ghouls are jumping. You see that one spawning, it's always going to follow.
Fudge has been really good with all of these cage placements too. His earlier ones onto Bwipo, you know, forcing the flash, evading a lot of danger. That one very offensive. Now B-Boy should be just fine. Ezreal in mid lane. Very difficult to engage on, but FlyQuest are refocusing on the dragons, trying to get one for themselves.
Look at top lane though. Azir's just going to go for the tier 2 to try to pressure this. I think this is actually really smart. They already have a gold lead. You want to play through sides, just play to extend this. It's only the second dragon. Honestly, who cares? If you can try to continue extending that gold lead, it would be massive. And now everyone's going to have to go respond to Palafox, which means Fudge is going to have an opportunity to push through bot. And then they're going to have this kind of tempo on the map where everyone's committing. We'll see if they can get him with Talia though.
Yeah, Bwipo immediately going in after Palafox here. The Sun Disc summoned up to try to protect the Emperor as Bwipo may have gone a little bit too far. Palafox still staying alive, just dancing circles around him, but FlyQuest brought the whole damn team. The shutdown comes through, but meanwhile in the bottom lane, Fudge continuing to put in work on the split push. The tier 2 turret is already halfway down as Contract swoops into the top side of the nice two-man pull. Bwipo is down, but Contracts is tanking a lot here in the front line. Seos and B-Boy have to retreat, and it's a 1-for-1 here in the long extended fight top side.
Fudge is just pushing everywhere though. They had to TP down to answer, so then they attack them top. He runs straight mid. Now he's going to try to put on some pressure onto this tower as well. You can see he took more than half of the HP off of that bottom lane tier 2. The top lane tier 2 is also softened up. So now you're one Demolish proc away from losing either of those side lane tier 2s and giving an additional 700 gold to Fudge, who's already closing in on a 2,000 gold lead. This Yorick is going to be a problem.
The split push hope is alive. Here's Palafox going for the fight with Bwipo under his own tower. He did invest his flash to try and get closer and do that one. As we know how it turns out though, the cavalry arrives later.
Never a fair fight. Nice sidesteps though from him.
I wanna fight, stay. We can win. Focus Skarner, we'll win.
So that was comms for the second half of it once the counter kill came in, and that one did end up being another kill over. Traded towards the very end, but we are in a really, really scrappy one here. FlyQuest kind of clawing back some extra gold in these, and they still have those dragons to rely on. So quite dangerous yet.
So it's about a 1,000 gold lead for Shopify, but it's about a 2,000 individual gold lead for Fudge, which means the rest of the team is 1,000 gold behind. That means that if there's any fight that Fudge is not in, Shopify have to be very, very careful about it. And I say this specifically because your advantage is on this split push character. He generally doesn't want to be grouped up with everybody else. So I want to see how well can Shopify navigate this win condition.
Yeah, and you can see Masu is getting quite strong. He has 48 souls, so not really a quick pace for the souls, but does have the early Shiv. He's going towards an IE second. The Shiv is just to try to alleviate some of the wave clear issues that the AD carry Senate does have. And then when you get that IE, you really start to ramp up. But they are just continuing to pressure Bwipo here. They want to knock down these tier 2s. It's such a big injection of gold that they become a really important objective for both teams.
All right, Shopify also having the Herald in the inventory. Going to go ahead, summon that one up right around mid lane here as Quad rides in the Weaver's wall. Nice, using the seismic shove to find B-Boy, who immediately has to pop his barrier, trying to stay healthy enough as the pressure continues from Shopify Rebellion. Herald about to slam into the tier 1 turret with plenty of Void grubbies. Contracts swinging a miss there on the ulti means Shopify is going no further.
Yeah, he was thinking there was going to be an attempt at his life after popping out of the Rift Herald, so he's kind of pre-planning that play. They don't actually catch anybody, but again, they're whittling away at these towers. They have not actually dropped on the tier 2s on the sides or the mid one, but very close to a lot of extra standing gold going over their way as Bwipo does get a little bit aggressive here.
Yeah, Bwipo going in after Fudge, but man, that shovel hurts. Bwipo losing half HP from a big ol' smack upside the head.
Sight's pretty realistic. You ever been hit by a shovel?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, there you go.
Have you ever, look at Mordekaiser's giant mace. That thing definitely looks like that hurts.
Okay, that thing's going to hurt too. Every big object that can hit you in the head is probably going to hurt. As FlyQuest are still trying to defend here as their tier 1 finally succumbs to the pressure from Shopify Rebellion, who will go back to slightly more than a 1,000 gold lead. The thing that you can notice about this game, though, is that unless Shopify are finding these turrets, slowly but surely, the gold lead is disappearing over time for FlyQuest.
I mean, that is the other side of when you overload one side of the map, right? If you're saying, okay, we're going to send 4 here, we're going to keep attacking Bwipo, and we're going to keep trying to get Fudge ahead. Well, you're going to be dropping minions. You're going to be dropping camps to be able to make that happen. So FlyQuest are just playing efficiently, playing on 3 lanes. They will be slowly but surely closing that gap. And they don't need to be able to kill Fudge in a 1v1. They just need to stop him from progressing the game. So that really is the goal here for Bwipo. Just hold strong at a tower, try to defend those tier 2s. Don't allow him to get so strong that he can just show up to a 5v5 and actually be effective.
Yeah, and if they can do that, then they can continue to stack dragons, and you get to try and pull them to you and try and put a stop to it. See if they can actually, hold out for the kind of the mid bridge, though, because this dragon looks like it will not be stacked in the favor of FlyQuest.
Yep, looks like that neutral objective is going for Shopify. But speaking of neutral objectives, Otacon has spawned, which has triggered a special Uber Eats offer that you can check out in chat or the Twitch extension if you're getting a little hungry for something other than turret plates like this Yorick has been serving up all game long. Otacon there, Shopify have control over the area, and Contracts is going to immediately start it up. While Fudge is pressuring on the other side of the map, the other 4 players on Shopify Rebellion are going after the Otacon, and there's a teleport into the top side river from FlyQuest, so Quad is nowhere nearby. Now you can see FlyQuest starting to move down there. Quad has the Weaver's Wall to potentially try to make an entrance, but Shopify already got what they came for.
Seemed like it was a really good call, or Fudge backed off really, really quickly. So then, the teleport up towards the middle of the map, they actually can just turn towards this tower and get something back for themselves, but the Flower Adaptive Force picked up and bits of experience there for Shopify will be nice. Yeah, it's not like as powerful as the old get up 30 petals on the ground afterwards, but it's still quite nice, plus the little on-kill effect that you
FlyQuest are all moving towards topside. This could be a straight-up brawl.
All right, Shopify starting it off already here with a 1v1 in top lane, but Seos is about to die before anything else happens. He barely stays alive, as now Inspired has to try to escape, and Contracts misses the Skarner ulti. Fudge wants to get away from Quad, but a kill has already come through as Inspired and Masu are dead. Fudge is dropped as well. Seos only at 100 HP as FlyQuest tries to continue their retreat. Bwipo is barely hanging on. Palafox will not be grabbed by the Mordekaiser Claw, and now Quad stands alone. Shopify Rebellion just out team fought FlyQuest.
Shopify come up huge, and that means they're going to get some of the standing gold on the map. Palafox immediately trying to cash in on the tier 2 tower on top side. Look at the mini-map as they move up, because Seos is going to have a critical flash. There's a controller in this rush, and so he is he actually gets a little bit of an extra bump there, and Palafox says, you know what? We're not letting Inspired get away. He goes in right after it. Masu even flashed as he goes down. So the fact that Shopify are able to win the rotation fight over, even though FlyQuest did get their kill on the Yorick and they take down Fudge, the reinforcements from Shopify gain so much more. This is a huge, huge swing in the game.
It is, and I mean, you saw how much they're having to actually.
You've been working out there?
Oh man. That's some fantastic reactions on the coach cams.
The Revan cam is one of my favorites.
Revan is a top-tier coach cam for sure.
He's a very animated coach, as now Shopify Rebellion. We're not messing around with these little rinky-dink 1,000 gold leads anymore. That cute little stuff where you can be like, yeah, we got a lead, but nobody really cares. We're talking about 3,500 gold ahead now. This is the real deal for Shopify Rebellion. Look at the individual gold trackers on the scoreboard right now. It's a whole ocean of Shopify leads.
Yeah, because they got all the kill money, and then they also got the tier 2 on top side, and they get the back out onto the map, push tier 2 on bottom side, another bunch of gold going into the Shopify coffers here. The war fund is going quite well for them.
I will say one small thing that did look nice for FlyQuest in the last fight is Bwipo looked like he had the 1v1, and that is kind of the power of Conqueror later on in the game, the power of being able to eliminate the ghouls from that fight in the ulti. You know, Quad did have to come to actually finish him off, but Bwipo was doing pretty well, and Bwipo right now is on 2 completed items, so the actual item power in inventory is just about even. So if Bwipo could actually shut down Fudge in a side lane, you know, find a way to get a solo kill, that is definitely a way to get some pressure back in their favor, because if Yorick has to team fight, especially if Yorick has to team fight without the Maiden, even if you have a gold lead, your actual effective combat power is a lot lower than what the Mordekaiser's is going to be.
Shovel's heavy, but it ain't that heavy. Bwipo's still going to be a problem here on this Mordekaiser.
Can we get a side-by-side of Mordekaiser mace?
The hammer versus the shovel?
The mace may be bigger, but if you can't swing it, you know, maybe it's too heavy.
More matters than just size. It's about strength, too.
Yeah.
You got to be able to handle the thing. Yeah. Exactly. We're in there.
Yorick has a lot of shovel experience.
he's been digging those graves for a long time.
Exactly.
Okay, but was the first mace a shovel?
What?
Where did the idea of even using a mace in the first place come from?
It was probably a stick with a rock on the end of it.
I think shovel came first.
I don't know. I think cavemen were probably bonking each other on the head before they were digging holes. Priorities, man.
Which invention came first? Actually, probably war, so probably the mace.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's like the most foundational thing. Anyway, Shopify are starting up the bear, and that's a pretty foundational thing to closing out a game in League of Legends, but they are not going to stick around the area, as FlyQuest have already expressed their interest in making this stop. Seo's immediate engage! Follow-up from Contracts is perfect, and Masu is dead and gone before the rest of the fight can even bother starting. Contracts putting a little bit more pressure here onto Quad as Inspired looks for his angle into the fight. Bwipo's ready to join up, but Contracts may have gone a little bit too far. Now Fudge teleporting in to try to back them up as Bwipo goes into the death round and wants to chase after an isolated target, but he's not going to find it. A little bit more damage should be able to take him down as Palafox nearly dies, but he comes out on top as Busio and Quad are on the run, and Fudge is on the hunt. Busio tries to find his counter engage there with a crash down Magnet Storm as Fudge dies to the turret. FlyQuest managed to outplay the follow-up. It's a 3-for-2, still favoring Shopify.
Oh, Shopify do push them off the map, even though the kills start to go back over the snipe. Oh, so close. Okay, but the Dragon should still be taken, even though they don't have their jungler, they don't have their smite. Palafox can kill this thing fairly quickly, and that is another dub for Shopify. Look at the beginning.
Important to note, Masu did not have his flash here. It showed that he did it in-game, but it is not up, so it's not like he could actually have reactively flashed anything. He gets locked down very well by Seos and Contracts. Great CC chain. They eliminate Masu, and then they're just going to force the fight.
I think we're going to get a comms listen in towards the tail end of the team fight as well. But we'll see the separation. Contracts is fairly tanky, but as Bwipo goes for the 1v1 with Palafox in the death realm, the rest of the team can push forward. Seos lands a nice snare onto Inspired to be able to get that kill and flashes the Q from Busio too. Here is that comms listen in.
Okay, let's go.
What a battle cry! What a battle cry! Full of confidence.
I love it, man. All right, so we've got the Shopify war cry
out a little bit. You know?
Yeah,
Let's go.
We're like, we're winning. Okay, now we're dying under
Maybe
tower.
the end was seeing.
Yeah, it's like, oh, let's go. Wanted to get another kill there. All right, Shopify starting up the Baron. FlyQuest on the approach. Inspired and Busio are going to be the first two around the area as the teleport will bring Whippo over to the mid lane quickly to join up with the rest of the squad. Now, Fudge doesn't have his teleport, but he is up there in the top lane right about at the halfway point. Busio goes forward, looks for that shattering strike, but cannot find a target with it. As now Masu nearly dead again. True Shot Barrage isn't going to hit him to finish off the job, but Masu's still got to try to escape. Contracts looking for Masu. 200 HP left on the Senna, and Fudge buries him 6 feet deep. Shopify Rebellion have already found their first target, and they want to make it a 2-for-1 special. B-Boy goes on a rampage, and FlyQuest are hurting as Shopify go after the Baron.
Wow, 3-item Ezreal hurts a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And Fudge, this was back a couple weeks ago before their last matchup. He said, I wonder, is Bubba going to shit talk me more if I play bad? But today we had nothing to lose. He already called me the worst player in the league. What am I so scared of? This was him talking about his mindset going into it. He wanted to play with confidence. He's saying, you know, he can't do anything worse than me. He already trash talked me. Who cares? Let's get in there. Let's play some league. He's showing up big in this second game. And Shopify now are looking like they are fully in control. 7,000 gold lead here. They are very close to tying this one up.
All right, Contracts leading the charge. Quad forced to flash away from the Impale as Busio crashes down for a Magnet Storm and Contracts drops. Quad goes on a killing spree again. Dives towards this Talia are not working out for Shopify, but they still have a 7,000 gold lead despite being forced back for now.
That was just super nicely played by Quad because he throws down the seismic shove. Contracts has the correct reaction, which is to ult so that you still can channel it and still get the grab, but then he flashes that, and having that extra mobility there is the big determining factor. So for now, they put a stop to the Shopify push, but Flowers, I don't think that stop is going to last very long. They still have that Baron. They are right back out onto the map. They have super, super deep vision, and they can just push FlyQuest around.
Yeah, look at B-Voy, 4-0-9 on the Ezreal. You talk about a 3-item Ezreal hurt, and he has been a part of all but 2 of their kills, has not fallen a single time so far this game. Really just an awesome performance from the Shopify AD carry in this one.
And as much as a lot of the game has been about Fudge and the pressure that he's putting on and all of the focus up there that Shopify was putting on, that bought time for B-Boy and for Palafox. And now, you know, it's not just B-Boy. Palafox has his death cap done. He's on 3.5 items. Both these guys are working towards 4. They are going to be very difficult for FlyQuest to actually deal with here, and FlyQuest is going to have to try to problem solve. How are they going to really find a winning fight? You know, they're not super under pressure just yet because it will just be Soul Point, not actually Soul itself. That Shopify could grab here in a minute, but you know that is going to be the big question mark.
And this is one of the really fun things that people love about watching Shopify games. They can punch up at the best teams in the LTA. See if they can finish.
Okay, immediately going in for the Weaver's Wall. Inspired wants to charge in, but he's already almost dead. Contract only gets one with a pull. The Palafox has fallen. FlyQuest have found their first kill, and it's the enemy mid laner. Fudge can't join the fight in time, so FlyQuest again are going to stop the Shopify war machine in its tracks. Nicely played.
Again, a huge seismic sub there from Quad. He's able to snipe Palafox as Palafox went in. Use the flash, use the ulti. It does put a stop to it for now, and every time you put a stop to one of these Baron pushes, does open up the question, like, how far do you have to go in the comeback here to fully neutralize? The Baron power play is actually negative in gold value because of these constant outplays here, a lot of them from Quad.
Absolutely, and we'll see. You know, it should still be a dragon, you know, for Shopify here. I don't think that we're going to see FlyQuest going too aggressive for that, but they're buying more time. They've protected the base. They've kept all the inhibitor towers alive. Death Cap's in there for Quad. Quad actually has a pretty big individual gold lead himself now. He's on 4 items, and slowly but surely, Senna is scaling up. 99 souls now. The range is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Obviously, if you have the IE, you're well over 100% crit. You know, you're getting a ton of spell vamp there, Omni Vamp. You know, lifesteal coming through with that passive, and they do have some real threats on their team as well. So Shopify has got to be careful. You know, when you are playing these split push style champs, it does open up opportunities to get engaged on without your whole team there.
Important to note also, as we're keeping track of these items and these power spikes, Zhonya's Hourglass now fully completed for Bwipo. He did have the arm guard unbroken. The game hasn't really been about him for the past 5 or 10 minutes, so it's not like he had to use that arm guard actively. Never even got to destroy the thing before it became the Hourglass. But now having that in every single fight could open up some serious outplay opportunity for him. We already talked about it a little bit earlier, but it's not like he's out of the game just because Fudge has been ahead the entire time. Bwipo still has an opportunity to really make a huge impact with a meaningful ult in one of these fights.
It's absolutely true. And one of the things I know when I was playing a lot of Mordekaiser and watching some of these really good one tricks is sometimes late in the game, you know, when you're playing Mordekaiser, you think, okay, I want to ult someone that I can beat in a 1v1. Oftentimes, a lot of the one tricks would actually ult the strongest person on the other team, and just to take them out of the fight, to use it as a CC. If B-Boy is the only problem, or if Palfox is the only problem, you ult them, you start losing, you just sit there in Zhonya's while your team wins the 4v4. It can actually be really effective, even when you are behind.
Yeah, I guess that the fight where he ulted Palfox and then lost also to Palfox, that's not the ideal situation that you're envisioning, right?
You're hoping that you can win, and if you can't win, you're hoping that you don't die. But sometimes if you're behind, it's okay. Just take the strongest person out of the fight, try to just keep them, use it as a CC, right?
Yeah.
If your team is better off in the 4v4, if you and B-Boy both don't participate, who's it better for? Probably FlyQuest.
Yeah, how are they going to actually deal with this Ezreal problem? Because B-Boy is so mobile.
Tough.
He's so long range. It's going to be a problem that FlyQuest have to come up with a solution with very quickly.
I will say, if the game keeps going and going and going, Senate does eventually hit a point where your Qs are so long range, your autos are so long range, that you can just start chunking people with Q autos, and it becomes really frustrating, where Senate just kind of hits this break point where all of a sudden, it feels like she's 2 screens away chunking you.
And the thing is, though, I really do want to applaud Shopify for how well they've found Masu so far this game. Normally, Masu is a player that you very rarely see enemy teams be able to find those opportunities for those angles on him to take him out early. But Shopify have already managed to pull it off a couple of times in these critical fights. And now Baron is about to spawn again, and the Rebels are immediately in the pit. FlyQuest trying to see if they can stop this, but Masu and everybody else still has to make their way over. The Baron is already down to 20% HP. The Baron is already claimed before the fight even starts. Shopify Rebellion going in now, but Seo's got to be careful, flashing back over the wall, keeping himself safe, as Inspired has lost 1/3 HP. The Maiden's coming around on the flank as the Weaver's wall has disappeared. Fudge looking for a chance to get involved in the fight, but Bwipo has pulled him into the Death Realm. The Mordekaiser is feeling strong here in the 1v1 as everybody else on Shopify tries to scramble to save Fudge in the aftermath. Bwipo can't get the kill, but it costs Fudge his flash. FlyQuest now trying to exit as a 5-man unit. They don't stop the Baron. They might have got a couple summoner spells, but that play still favors Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah, the determination from Shopify here. They commit to the Baron. They burn it down. They do get everyone out. I think Fudge's thought process under the tower, he was like, maybe I go one more Q on this guy. Maybe, you know, the team is going to be able to do something when I get out. Yeah, without the flash, he's going to be a little bit more vulnerable, but with Baron buff, Shopify can push so effectively here. They can just trap FlyQuest inside their own base, and they have the sieging power to actually crack those inhibitor towers this time.
They absolutely do, and importantly, the Baron buff will still be there after the Soul Dragon spawns, right? So they can be going for Cloud Soul. You're going to be stuck in your base unless FlyQuest can find an opportunity to find and engage, get picks, to be able to get it on the map. Because look at the map. They have no vision over by the Dragon whatsoever. Even if Shopify go over there, it's so hard to actually get there to even contest.
All right, FlyQuest defending 4-man unit here in the mid lane. Bwipo dealing with the split pressure in bottom. Keep your eyes on quad. The Talia defense has been critical so far for FlyQuest. For the Baroned up minions, the super low HP on the turret. Shopify Rebellion, look at the damage there on Damasu from B-Boy hitting the Mystic shot as FlyQuest will lose their first inhibitor turret here in mid lane. The Sun Disc is about to fall. Seos wanted to flash over the wall for the surprise engage there with the Zenith Blade, but does not have the range to land that one onto quad. Now Shopify, having got that tier 3 turret in mid, they know the Dragon is about to spawn here in about 10 seconds. They're going to work their way down to the Dragon pit and challenge FlyQuest to try to approach.
And B-Boy is basically full build Ezreal with the QSS in inventory. Like, yeah, he can upgrade it to Mikriel Scimitar, but that's just like a little bit of extra damage. With Cloud Soul, with the extra range advantage, with the extra power advantage here for Shopify, this is gotta be the moment for them to crack the base. Here they come. Baron empowered wave. B-Boy is going to be able to chunk this thing very quickly. Couple of autos on the tower.
Okay, B-Boy takes out the tier 3 turret here in the bottom lane. Whippo, only a couple Mystic shots, has already done that to his health as Masu's half HP now too. Shopify Rebellion keeping their foot on the gas pedal as 2 inhibitors are now vulnerable in the FlyQuest base. 15-10 for Shopify, 6,000 gold lead. Masu very strong with a lot of range, but FlyQuest is going to have to deal with a serious problem now as Contracts goes in, but Inspired's going to stay alive. The defensive ulti from the Xin Zhao, keeping him strong enough to get back to the rest of the team, but Shopify will take their opportunity to continue pushing forward. Masu looks for damage on B-Boy, but he ain't going to find it. Fudge trapped in the Shadow Realm yet again as Whippo tries to beat him down, but he needs a little bit more damage to get it done, and Whippo comes up with the kill.
That was actually so well played. That entire series from FlyQuest. Inspired. The timing on the Crescent Guard right as he's getting ulted from Contracts was perfect. Everyone from Shopify is trying to pile in to follow up on that. He immunes all the damage. Contracts gets chunked out. Then Whippo, knowing there's no flash on Fudge, is able to find the window to get the 1v1 kill on him. That was a thing of beauty from FlyQuest. So well played.
Critical defense from FlyQuest. This team will not go down easily. Whippo gets the last pull in there on Fudge to bring him back into his own cage and get the kill. And they defend the inhibitor.
The inhibitor bot lane. The inhibitor mid lane, not so much.
Okay,
Yeah,
no, back then. It's not good, not good, not good, not good.
He's right. It did not go the way that they wanted it to go, but B-Boy now under a little bit of pressure as Quad flies in, and B-Boy flies right back out. Contracts tanking up here on the front line in the middle of 4 FlyQuest players. Palafox looking for his entry point into the fight, but Inspired made his way back towards B-Boy, just barely misses out of the kill, but Palafox has been killed in the back line. Shopify Rebellion have already lost 1 carry, and the second is down to 100 HP. Contracts takes out Inspired, though, and continues to try to retreat, but he will not make it. FlyQuest get a 2-for-1.
They got B-Boy
Their
with the
base
ulti.
is in trouble. The ulti beautifully shot there to finish off the kill onto B-Boy, and FlyQuest just killed 3 of them.
The FlyQuest comeback is becoming a reality. How did they even find that long play? They chased them down the top lane. The beginning of it, we didn't actually get to see the origins, but look what they can take in the aftermath after the extra snipe. It's 2 towers straight down this top lane.
More.
And they're going to get inside the base.
There's still 20 seconds left on Palafox. Okay, FlyQuest deciding to back away. Discretion is the better part of valor and all that.
Baron is coming up. You need to get your reset off. You need to get preemptive vision leading up to this thing. Make sure that you can go contest.
All right, we got to watch this one more time. This is B-Boy. Looks like he was the one getting aggressive. Gets tagged by the wind, becomes lightning. They call for the TP immediately. In comes Quad. In comes the Mordekaiser. He's getting chased after. But the problem here comes when Palafox tries to come around on the flank. He's looking for an angle. He gets spotted. And watch Palafox get rooted by Masu. He tries to go aggressive, but he gets hit by the root. He's stuck out away from the team. Palafox goes down for free. And then on the other side, Inspire just lives forever.
Yeah, he barely there. Gets hit by one more.
It's the Skarner passive
tick down with the previous Skarner passive being procced onto him. Regardless, though, FlyQuest chopped that gold lead down to just 1,000, giving themselves some more hope to get back into it. Shopify, they still have a big advantage with the Cloud Soul. Of course, this extra move speed is going to help a lot. And so they're setting up on the Baron. They're going to try to force FlyQuest to come into them. B-Boy, again, on the front lines, trying to poke.
Okay, FlyQuest on the approach. Lucio taking a little bit of damage here as Quad goes into the back line. Fudge is going to be zoned away. B-Boy sidestepping away from that seismic shove as Contract slams Inspired into the wall, but it's not good enough. The Xin Zhao is so tanky. Inspired going to be dead now as both junglers fall. Palafox taking a kill on that one as FlyQuest are trying to scramble, and Shopify are hunting them down. Quad gets trapped inside the cage, but it's Fudge who falls again. Beautifully played from Quad.
And Masu is getting ridiculously strong. The amount of damage he is putting out in these fights is getting out of control. Nearly 150 stacks on the Senna. He is full build here, and he is going to be such a problem for Shopify. The amount of lifesteal he actually has at this point in the game is getting pretty crazy.
Yeah, the amount that he was able to come back in these last few fights was huge, because at one point he was down 3 levels to B-Boy. And even in the beginning of this fight, B-Boy is able to escape, so over the wall he adds the damage onto Inspired for them to be able to answer. So as Contracts and Inspired both trade kills there, they still have the extra advantage to take down the extra person here with the chase, and they go back for the Baron during
Nice
the
call.
replay. They get the real objective here. Baron again in the hands of Shopify to try and help out with their push.
3 Barons.
Masu now has almost 500 AD and 31% lifesteal with the passive. So
It's a lot.
if you do not insta-kill this guy, he is healing for a ridiculous amount.
And you can't insta-kill him. He's got Guardian Angel now. Very, very powerful defensive option. These types of items, these one-shot wonder type of things, like the Guardian Angel, like the Zhonya's, have so much value in these late-game team fights when the lethality of every character is so high. FlyQuest now trying to assemble and make sure they can defend against the Shopify push. Shopify continuing now to march down mid. That inhibitor is still dead, but just about now respawning. So inhibitor vulnerable in mid, vulnerable in bot. Shopify making the push for the inhib, but now FlyQuest is on the approach, ready to go. Seos trying to get away here from the Weaver's wall. Fudge is going to get caught out by Inspired. Seos trapped inside the Death Realm with Whippo, just trying to buy enough time. Gets stunned there at the very exit as Inspired's got to deal with the ghouls on the other side of the fight. Seos getting away, Contracts covering his retreat. Honestly, Shopify, it looked a little bit dicey, but they got their inhib and they got everybody out.
The Elder Dragon is on the map, though, so priority to get over to this bottom half of the map is going to be a small victory, too. We've got a lot of Shopify up on top side. Fletch here repeating the split push. Yorick has teleport, so he's trying to split push with this Baron while the rest of FlyQuest are starting the Elder.
I mean, if they get Elder and no one can answer, though, Fudge can just end the game. So Whippo has to go top to try to answer this. So it's going to be a 4v4 for the Elder.
Okay, Inspired is soloing the Elder Dragon right now. Contracts tries to step forward to put some pressure onto Quad. Nice use of the True Shot Barrage to take him down below half HP while Fudge and Whippo trade up in the top lane. Inspired down to half. Now a lot of damage onto the Xin Zhao. As Shopify Rebellion have taken over the bot side. River and Whippo down to 1/3 HP up in the top side at the same time. Inspired going in. Nice double knockback with a seismic shot from FlyQuest. Matsu is popping off. FlyQuest just won the fight. They might have just won the game. The Elder Dragon's going to go their way. Contracts is still alive, but only barely. Boostio keeping him away, and Matsu won't let him anywhere near the pit. The Elder goes to FlyQuest.
The FlyQuest heroics continue with Elder Dragon. They're going to immediately push on the bottom side of the map. Whippo does have teleport here for the Mordekaiser. He can join too.
It's 30 seconds or more still on these death timers for the Shopify carries. Contracts is trying to get away. The Dawning Shadow for the execution with the Elder Dragon. And Matsu finds another kill. Quad may die here to the Yorick, so Fudge at least gets one back. But FlyQuest have taken what was once a 7,000 gold deficit and completely suplexed it.
That kill, though, might have just saved them losing a lot of their base. Might have been losing inhibitors. Masu has just gotten so ridiculously strong. Look at Masu in this fight. The initial part of the play, Inspired has a great ulti, and then B-Boy's positioning on the side. He's kind of sectioned off right here. And look at Masu, connects on the W. He goes over the wall. The cleanse a little too early. He uses the QSS before the root actually landed. Masu just has ridiculous range, follows after him, knocks him down. And Masu is just such a problem. The range on this character is like more than a tower at this point, and he's incredibly difficult to burst down. He's doing so much damage. They are struggling with him.
And you could see the frustration on the faces of Contracts and Palafox to now be in a game where FlyQuest has the advantage when earlier you were so far ahead. It's just settling in that this is now no longer a given thing. This is now a battle, and they are fighting for their lives.
Yeah, it doesn't matter that B-Boy was the first to the full build and the first to level 18, because Masu, he got back up. He's more than accumulated enough gold to fill his inventory with the luxury of the Guardian Angel, even if he wasn't able to get that solo bolo.
I mean, he sold his Shiv for the GA. Now he sold his boots for the Ghostblade, and he has 760 attack range. So it is very difficult. He's going to walk up. He's going to Q auto. That's one auto, by the way. He didn't get his Q.
Oh,
that
execution! It was almost lethal there.
He's well over 500 AD. That's what it looks like. If you allow an infinite scaling champion to scale like this for 46 minutes, you got a problem on your hands.
All right, FlyQuest on the push down mid lane. Tier 2 turret's the target. Masu doesn't really have to worry about it because he doesn't have to play within its range, but everybody else also going to choose to back up. Turret can only shoot so far.
Mobile turret.
Not going to go that well for Shopify. They've got to try to figure out something, but the Maiden is being sent up the top lane right now to make an extra split push threat.
Exactly. Fudge actually unleashed the Maiden, which you very rarely see. Sends it down that side lane. It is going to be still spawning ghouls, but you can see Inspired is going up there to try to kill it off, and that is going to mean Fudge won't have that combat power for a 5v5. I think he's just realized, like, with the Maiden or not, he's kind of useless in the 5v5. You're just dropping cage. You're just a body there to try to block for your team. And he wants to have that side lane pressure, but unfortunately going to get cleaned up by Inspired and Quad.
Right, Shopify, though, they're taking the chance to march down mid with some of this side pressure. The Maiden drawing attention top, Fudge drawing attention down in the bottom lane. Inspired with a Guardian Angel now alongside that of Masu. You've still got the Zhonya's Hourglass up there on Bwipo. All of these powerful get-out-of-jail-free cards. On the other side, when we're looking at Shopify's options, yes, you have an Hourglass for Palafox, but that's about it. Despite Palafox's success in some of the earlier fights, it hasn't felt like he's been able to do nearly as much since the FlyQuest comeback has really started, and we'll see if he can make a big play with that stasis. Palafox looking at Bwipo down here in the bottom lane now, coming in to help Fudge, but FlyQuest is barreling down the mid lane at the same time. Bwipo goes into the death realm to buy himself a little bit more time as B-Boy gets away from the Dawning Shadow. Bwipo using the Zhonyas to try to survive a little bit longer, but Shopify have found the kill on the top laner of FlyQuest.
Oh, they gambled a lot in this. Let's see if it pays off. Contracts now on the run over to the split pushers.
Yeah, Contracts is trying to get away, but Inspired and Busio can lock him down so easily, and Masu never even has to enter the range of Impale. A one-for-one trade, top laner for jungler.
There will be no smite for Shopify now. Baron is on the map again. FlyQuest here, even though they lost Bwipo, he will come up quicker and will have teleport. So Shopify are trying to keep the pressure up. They teleport into the top side again. There is a ward still that saw them on that side of the map.
It's also critical to note, B-Boy lost both his summoners in that last fight, so he is going to be very vulnerable. He cannot even be on the same screen as Masu, it feels like.
Okay, pressure in bottom lane continues from Palafox and Fudge. Busio looking for Palafox. Fudge is going to try to stop him, at least occupy the Rel's time. Quad loses 2/3 HP, but it ain't going to matter. Masu's unstoppable. Palafox is down. Fudge in some danger as he can't secure the kill onto Busio. Inspired and Masu now regrouping. They'll deal with the Maiden, get rid of that, remove some of the Yorick power. B-Boy and Seos nowhere near this fight. The Baron is on the Rift. The Elder is spawning again in 50 seconds. We have already seen so many Barons. We have already seen our first Elder. The clock is about to strike 50 minutes in this second game, and the score is 22-22 with a 1,500 gold lead.
And it feels like Shopify have accepted, you know what, we can't win 5v5, and that's why they're trying these kind of guerrilla tactics, sending multiple members to a side lane, TPing in, trying to get 2v1 kills to see, can we just end the game through sides? Can we find FlyQuest overcommitting to a fight and punish them elsewhere? But FlyQuest now are going to be the ones getting the Baron here. They're going to be the ones with push on the map for the first time here. And it is going to be really hard for Shopify to hold on.
Every Senna bullet chunks Baron for 1,100 damage, as Shopify now might be in a real bad spot. Contracts only just now respawning, and he might be headed straight back to the fountain. FlyQuest, they managed to get themselves a kill. Now with the enemy jungler dead again, the Elder Dragon is guaranteed. There's no way that Shopify are going to be able to wreak enough havoc in the side lane in the meantime, and FlyQuest are feeling real good now.
That was so good from Bwipo. He just flashes in. As soon as he sees the jungler, immediately ults Contracts. You know you can win that late game 1v1. Burns him down, takes away the smite from Shopify, and FlyQuest with Elder, with
it's
Baron.
Up to Palafox, he's behind him. Okay, never mind, he's not gonna go.
Yeah, I think if he goes in, he instantly dies. Masu goes auto Q, and then the Elder goes blah, and then you're dead. As FlyQuest are pushing straight into the heart of the base for Shopify Rebellion. Contract still dead for another 25 seconds. FlyQuest have the Baron, they have the Elder, they have the straight shot for the enemy Nexus. There's no way Fudge can outpush this. FlyQuest, from a 7,000 gold deficit, come back to hit match point after game 2.
It is so hard to close this team out. FlyQuest, what a comeback, what a defense.